It's the Old Man Ranting from the Kitchen live podcast. Welcome back to the Old Man Ranting from the Kitchen. Here I am, ready to tell you another great story that happens when you're a property manager. Oh, wait a minute. The producer's in my left ear saying, "You've got to tell them this is story number 2. You know, after the chicken thing happened in story number 1, it's hard to find good help for story number 2. Believe me, it is. I can remember not too long ago, come think about it, when I had a good producer. Yeah, well, that was a long time ago. Now I've got AI. AI, hey, away we go. Never quite sure what happens when you push the button. Here we are in the wonderful, beautiful South Hill Studios, by the way. We've almost got them all completed. We're still having a little audio problem on the, the neighbors upstairs that like to play Let's Make a Deal with a bowling ball and drop it on the floor, or some of the other small problems that you have when you're operating out of a kitchen. Everybody should have those problems. Now, I know that you're not supposed to have those problems, and I'm just, I guess, a downstairs apartment dweller. But as property manager, you'd think they'd at least have a little less, well, should we say, square dancing, big-time rodeo, dropping safes on the floor, throwing their kids across the floor, and a host of other great things that I'm sure they're doing. But anyway, let's get on with the story. You know, the other, probably month or so, I was, just come out the door. I was going to go out to the car and get some information out of the car. And our building is set up, so it's, like I mentioned, it's 4 units in a shape of a house, but an upstairs and a downstairs. And the sidewalk walks right by the window of one of the bedrooms downstairs. So you wouldn't think much of it, would you? Well, let me explain to you what happened one day. As I mentioned to you, I was walking out to the car to get some stuff out of the car, and just before I got to the window, the strangest thing that I have ever seen in my life occurred. The window slowly opened up, and then all of a sudden, here comes 2 feet and a butt connected to a human being. I want you to know that. And he's sliding out the window. Yes. Now, thank heavens it was the ground floor and it wasn't upstairs, because that would have been a mess when he hit cement down on the, ground level. But no, he was sliding out of the bedroom. Now, his back was towards me when he finally stood up. What do you think I would say? Mentally, maybe I'll just ignore it and he'll go away. Or maybe podcasters got to know why you're backing out the window in the middle of the morning. Well, it dawned on me, I should ask probably. So I said, "Excuse me." He turns around and looks at me and he says, I want to add this little bit of information so that you understand the whole story. This guy was a tree, folks, and he had muscles on him that kind of made you nervous, so you knew it had to be a polite conversation, because there is no health insurance as a property manager for being beaten by a visitor of a renter. There is no such a thing, I don't know. But I personally grow feathers when somebody gets violent. So I was very nice to him, of course. Did you ever try the door? Wait a minute, is the door working? Is there something wrong with the lock in the door so you guys are going out and back and forth in and out the window? Oh, no, man. No, I got to go. I got things to do. So he walks across the parking lot, and I notice he's getting in a car that arrived. Oh, wait a minute. That car was there last night all night. Now the lights are starting to come on. Dimly, but starting to come on in my mind. So I passed that off. I thought, okay, I'm not even going to just think about it, waste my time with that. No. Everything's fine. If I ask, no, I can't ask the lady of the house why a gentleman is crawling out the window. I mean, that would be stupid of me. So anyway, about 3 days later, I bump into the mother of this lady of the house, who she is the lady of the house, I should say. And I'm really confused, because she comes around the corner and I say, "Excuse me, I have a question to ask. Are you going to go through the window or through the door? Is the lock broken?" She looks at me calmly, and I want you to understand this lady's about 5'4", and she looks at me very skinny, very nice lady, I thought, looks at me and says, "Oh, what do you mean coming in and out the window? Nobody uses the window." I said, "Oh, okay, well, this may be kind of I probably shouldn't even bring this up, but as a couple of days ago, was walking down, approaching your window there in the bedroom, this gentleman was backing out of the window." She looks at me very calmly. "What do you mean a gentleman was backing out of the window? My boyfriend comes in and out the front door. That's ridiculous." I said, "Oh, okay, well, he was coming out the window is what he was doing. So maybe he didn't want to, open and close the door and wake you up, because I know you sleep different hours of the day and night. And I'm trying to get out of this whole conversation very quickly because she's starting to get very irritated. One thing I have learned in the short time that I've been a property manager, that when you get women upset with you that are tenants, you might as well just go out and beat yourself with a club, because if you don't, they will. So I, okay, thank you, and went back into the apartment. Now, my apartment's right across from there, so, these wonderful apartments that were built in the 80s, the wall, you can put a glass up to it and hear people breathing in the next room. Oh, I mean, I wouldn't put a glass up against the wall, mind you. I'm sure they would on trying to find out what I'm doing. But for some strange reason, all of a sudden, and I thought, oh, my day is now really going to go to pieces. I walk over, look in the peephole. Always look in the peephole when you live in an apartment, because you don't know what's going to be on the other side of that door. I opened up the door, and there she was. And I said, "Yes, can I help you? Is there something I can help you with?" She said, "You saw a man coming out that bedroom window?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, I did." "You know what's going on?" I said, No, I have no idea." "Did you ask him why he was coming out the window?" "Yes, I might have mentioned that because I found it a little strange." She calmly looks at me and she says, "That's my boyfriend. Did you know that?" And I said, "Yeah, you told me that. And as long as he's visiting and doesn't take up rest..." "Oh, shut up. You know what was going on?" And "No, I don't. He is making love to me and sneaking out and sitting in the living room, supposedly watching television and turning it up a little bit. And then he's going into my daughter's bedroom. Do you know what? And I said, "Wait a minute. Whoa, time out. I am not a minister, counselor, any of that stuff. So really, I'm sure you can take care of this with your daughter, in your home, of course. You live right over there." She looked at me and said, "You just don't want to listen, do you?" And I said, "That's correct. Have a good day. Thank you." And I slowly and politely wished her once again, "Have a great day," and quietly closed my door and hoping that she will, go away. Well, she went into her apartment, took the groceries, put them down, and I hear this yelling at her daughter. Holy Moses, the world. You would have thought they dropped an atomic bomb in her kitchen. Everybody, I think, in the whole complex for a mile heard what was going on. And, the neighbors up over my apartment come, "Yes, what can I do for you today? Did you hear that noise?" I said, "Yes, there's a little family problem next door, and everything's fine." "Oh, little family problem. Do you realize what the lease says? You're not supposed to have any noise that can be heard outside your apartment. And after 10 o'clock, all noises are to be turned way down." And I said, "Excuse me, it's, after 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Thank you for reading the lease. And I don't want to get involved in this. I mean, I'm trying to, I just don't believe." And she starts on me again, telling me that the noise is bothering her kids or whomever it may concern. Well, first thing of all, her kids were in school, and I already knew that because I waved at them as they left for school. Number two, she's the type of individual that it's good if you have a can of water in your hand and throw it on a fire, not a can of gas, you see. So I got her quieted down. She finally went back to her apartment, slammed the door so hard that my dishes practically fell out of the cabinet onto the floor, but that's okay. Property managers must know how to control anger, their anger. Now, everything was going pretty well, and I was pretty excited that it had calmed completely down. About 3 days later, I thought, oh, not again. I look out the peephole. Sure enough, here's the wonderful neighbor next door. She says, "You men are all alike, you know that?" And I said, "Oh, okay. What can I help you with today? Is the plumbing not working? Do you have some sort of problem with the apartment that I can help you with?" "No." "Did you park your car today?" "Well, of course, it's parked in my space." I am so upset. I bought a brand new car, and do you realize how hard it is for me to park? You are right on and over the line. The way you park is disgraceful. And she carries on for about 2 minutes. Now, mentally in my mind, I'm measuring her where she's standing versus, and all these apartments have metal doors. And I'm thinking to myself, if this continues, I'm going to close the door. So when she took and put her finger up in the air at me, a very unmanly gesture, I might add, and whips around and practically tries to get into my face, something hazardous happened. I closed the door. Now, if I hit her nose or not, I'm not sure. I do know this. There was a sound, and then it was quiet. So I safely assumed that she got the point. The door's closed. I can't help her. Well, of course, she got a hold of the landlord, which is the next thing you do when you're being an idiot. You know, this woman, by the way, works for the state of Washington, but we won't get into that at all. No. Check in on my other podcasts about what I think about the daycare center in Olympia, Washington, and some of the wonderful educated people that work there. You know, the ones that we pay taxes for that work there. Oh, wow. Well, at least she got a brand new car, so we know she's making some money. Well, okay, this is fine. This is fine, and I think I got the point across. Don't scream at me over how I park. Well, I get a call from the property owner who said, "Bill, I just looked at a picture. Do you own a green car parked out there in the carport?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I do." He says, "Got a complaint. She drove all the way up here to complain about you." I said, "Well, that's not unusual, is it?" "Oh, yeah, Bill, I hadn't heard anybody yell and scream like this for some time." And I said, "Okay." Showed me the picture. And I said, "Yes, sir. Parked, I went out and looked. I was not over the line, but I was pretty close to the white line, and I could have moved it over a few inches. I guess I was in the wrong." He says, "No, you didn't park anything out of the ordinary. How long has she been ranting and screaming like this?" I said, "Well, recently we've had a couple of problems because her boyfriend was, shall we say, having, she and he were, and the child was, and you know how that goes." He said, Don't tell me anymore. That's fine. Okay. The parking incident is ridiculous. You just wanted to let you know she's complaining here at the office. As she went out the door, she said, "I think at the end of the month, I'm going to move." And I said, "Gee, that's a wonderful thought." Well, she didn't, of course. And as the months go by, day after day, I have interesting things going on. Like Saturday night, there's parties and minors are drinking and throwing up outside on the sidewalk. That was kind of interesting. I had cars parked all over the place so nobody could get in or out, but you don't need to worry about that. Then the night came, which was really exciting. All of a sudden, I have half of the complex at my porch saying, "There's a guy, he's climbing up on the fence, and there's a car over there, and they're speeding up and down the driveway." So I step outside with my cell phone, getting ready, pre-dialed 911 just in case. I just don't look good in bandages. I really don't. So I went out and took a look at the situation and, kind of, well, I grew feathers, folks. There again, there was about 6 of them and 1 of me. Now, 5 of them were women. Well, okay, 5 of them were teenagers that are women. I have never heard such foul-mouthed individuals in my life. They could make a longshoreman cry. I mean, it was that bad. So I finally had to ask them to, button up and, leave very nicely. And while I'm talking, one of their boyfriends who was throwing up on the driveway, which I thought was a nice touch for the evening, and was so inebriated that I don't think he knew where he was at, decides he's going to climb on this wooden fence that separates our property from the property next door. And of course, as he's wiggling around and playing Tarzan, he falls on his gluteus maximus, picks himself up, got mad, gets in his car, slams in reverse, hits the fence. Priceless moments. Got a picture of that. Had witnesses that seen all of this problem, by the way. So that's the end of it. I called the next morning, the landlord, and say we got about $1,000 worth of damage to the fence because, unfortunately, the property manager may have got the neighborhood, I would say juvenile delinquent mafia, teenage girl group wound up and the boyfriend came to save them. And as he rode in on his white horse, the horse kicked the fence. Or maybe he was in his white car and backed into the fence. Whichever story will be very interesting when they tell it to you, I'm sure. Well, this was a very quiet moment because you got to understand that, first of all, these lovely ladies, which were, by the way, in high school, they were seniors. Obviously, in English class, they had not studied too hard and had a very limited vocabulary to only 4-letter words. It dawned on me, however, after all this was done, that the mother was nowhere in sight. Well, of course not. It's Friday night. Everybody parties on Friday night, and Mommy had forgiven her boyfriend, and you can put 2 and 2 together to figure out how that comes out. Well, when Mommy showed up the next morning, a little ruffled and, shall we say, like a chicken whose feathers were petted backwards, she decided to tell me that I'm taking advantage of them. I'm discriminating. The words kept going on. And this individual was a very, very nice lady at one time, I would assume. But because she was of a different race, I was a bad guy. And I just thought, okay, I'm not going to get involved in this whole thing. Well, we got over the party thing. She got the notice from the office to knock it off and to control her kids. Great. That was just the start of partying on Friday. Then it went to Friday night and Saturday. Then it went to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday when the property manager said enough is really, really enough. The next step was naturally, well, you've broken the lease and the rules of the property. The property manager will be over to have a chat with you. Now, I thought that was very nice of him to donate my blood in case of emergencies. I wanted to make sure he had the same blood type in case I needed a transfusion from getting hit in the head with a baseball bat, because this lady, I'm sure, had a baseball bat stuck behind the door. Well, she would never let anybody in. She'd only open the door a few inches, complain at you, and then slam the door. Okay, fine, whatever. Well, the eviction came. The time was ready. The affidavits were signed. Mr. Wonderful comes down. Mr. Wonderful is the process server. Says, okay, I got to serve the papers. What apartment is it? And I said, everybody calls you Mr. Wonderful because you're getting rid of pests here on the property. So don't take that as an insult. Well, everything's great. He goes up to the door. Nobody answers the door. I said, she's in there. Nobody answers the door. He has to stake the house out for about 2-3 days. She sneaks in and out and never, ever answers the door when he knocks on the door. On the 5th day, she went down and bought a Ring doorbell with a camera in it so that she could make sure that whoever is at the door, if it was myself, the property owner, or the process server or the attorney that she would not open the door. Well, folks, to make a long story terribly short, she slipped because one afternoon he put on his baseball cap and his baseball shirt and all this, grabbed an empty pizza box, and you know what happened. Yeah, knocked on the door, said he had a pizza delivery. She opened the door and she got served. Removing her from the property wasn't too hard because they had got the word, went to court, and, the rest is history. But when we finally got into the apartment, there was over $25,000 worth of damage because this wonderful woman didn't know, of course, that's her story, that the kids were smoking pot. Didn't know, of course, that's her story, that they never cleaned the house like they were supposed to. It was filthy. It was a mess. I guess the moral of this story is maybe I shouldn't have slammed the door, and maybe I hit her in the nose and something affected her brain. I don't know. But once again, you know how that goes. When you got to do it, you just got to do it. So everybody have a great day, and maybe, tomorrow or the next day, something will go right, and people will actually have respect for other people's property and want to live in communities as a good citizen. Until the next time, have a great day. We'll be talking to you soon. The old man done ranting from the kitchen.